Build Your Business listeners. This is Matt Reynolds, your host for the podcast, and you are listening to what we are calling the legacy episodes. And really, these are the pre-episodes that really led to this podcast, the Build Your Business podcast. This is really my life's work and my brother's life's work in building your business. And so they were originally published in the Barbell Logic podcast as part of the Principles or Coaching Success series, but really touch on similar topics to the Build Your Business podcast: how to improve your productivity, how to set and accomplish your goals, deprioritize urgent tasks, to focus on what is most important to you, and most importantly, to become a better person and leader and business owner overall. I'm proud to bring you these podcasts. Again, many years of life's work, several years of podcasts, and several decades of business ownership. Hope you enjoy them and learn from them. You're listening to Barbell Logic,
the podcast where we talk about what it means to experience strength
and how you can use simple, hard, and effective strategies in training and nutrition to improve your life.
It starts with meeting you where you are right now and finding lasting solutions.
Welcome to the show. You're listening to the Barbell Logic podcast. Here's another episode of the Coaching Success series. I'm your host, Matt Reynolds. Hey, happy Friday, everybody. And I'm excited today to do something a little bit different. I just came back from Charleston, South Carolina. Man, that's a great city. Beautiful, great architecture, great food, clean, loved it. And I was there with Forbes. Most of you know that I'm writing a book called Undoing Urgency. Will be on Amazon for pre-sale in August, and the official published date is December 10th. And what I wanted to do is actually I'm going to read the introduction today to give you guys a little bit of an idea about what the book is about. And I want to do that for a couple of reasons. So for one, I know a lot of our Barbell Logic listeners are expecting like the MED book from Scott and I. And that's not really what this book is. It's a higher, more 30,000 foot or 50,000 foot view of that. One of the things I think that we're going to do once we finished the book on May 31st and send it off to Forbes. It's really basically done at this point on our final line edits. And so that process has been fantastic. And first off, a huge shout out to Nick Solin, my editor-in-chief, and helped write the manuscript, certainly written by me, but I'm a better speaker than I am a writer, and he's a phenomenal writer. And so we had a great system in place for writing this book. But it's really about how we are drowning in urgency and how we tend to do things that are urgent and not important. And that applies so well to strength training, but it also applies to life and business and all of the important things. And so I think one of the things that our plan to do is in the pre-promotion of the book, is to put out a free ebook that is the MED book. And it'll be chunky, it'll be lengthy, it'll be thick with 2 C's. And so if that's what you're looking for, of like step-by-step guide of how we program using minimum effective dose for maximum return on investment. And there's a lot of that in the book. And it applies to health and fitness. We apply it to health and fitness and strength, but we also apply it to business and life and all the important things. And so if you're looking for that, that will be coming out soon as sort of a pre-promotion for the book, probably in the summer. But for now, I just want to give you an idea what the book is about. So I'm going to read through the introduction. It's fairly vulnerable. Most of you know some of my story. So here we go. Here is the intro to Undoing Urgency: Reclaim Your Life for the Things That Matter Most, by me, Ryan Matt Reynolds. Introduction: Drowning. Hemingway wrote using a technique that has come to be known as the iceberg principle, in which characters' words and actions, everything observable to the reader above the surface, allude to deeper thoughts, feelings, and motivations that the author leaves mostly unsaid. It's been my experience that people are much better at concealing the anxieties, stresses, and struggles that lie beneath the surface, at least until those things threaten to pull them under completely, which is exactly where I found myself in the summer of 2009. From the outside, everything appeared fine. I was a successful business owner of one of the largest strength gyms in the country. I was also an educator who had recently completed my master's degree, and was on track to become a high school principal. I was well liked and had built a name for myself as the head strength coach of a large high school. I was a football coach and a competitive professional strongman, having earned my professional status in 2006. A stable career and a budding business helped support my roles as a husband, father, and a church and community leader. I was helping people improve their quality of life through strength training and traveling the world to teach at seminars. But all that was the curated and polished surface that I let others see. Inside, I was a mess. I was living a secret life and severely struggling to reconcile who I was becoming with the man I showed to everyone else. At that time, I was in a long-term extramarital affair that would soon shake the deepest fibers of my marriage to my high school sweetheart. I stayed up late most nights playing online poker. I made everything in my life a conquest. Women, poker, strongman, coaching, business, education, football, even fantasy sports. I was chasing hero status, hoping that would be a gateway to success and satisfaction. My conquests, self-centered superhero mentality, and narcissistic urgency to be successful consumed me. And I often self-medicated with alcohol and other vices. Living with the constant pressure and stress of a double life, and despite having never been prone to depression or suicidal thoughts, I got to where all I could think about was driving my truck into an interstate overpass to escape, making suicide look like an accident, and freeing myself from the guilt and shame of my actions. Everything beneath the surface had finally dragged me under, and I was drowning. Thankfully, before I could do anything drastic, my lies were discovered, and I was exposed publicly. It felt like someone had taken a dredge to my darkest secrets, and my family, friends, and community all stood watching as the debris and trash were hauled up and put on display. With the spotlight on the stark reality of who I had become, it was clear that I had lost the connection to the most important things in my life. Grateful cannot begin to describe my emotions for my wife, who had every reason to divorce me, but chose to do the hard and painful work to save our marriage. The family and friends who forgave me, though some never could. The church who walked beside me, and my business partners who allowed me to dive all in on the success of the business. All of them saved my life. These relationships became the bedrock from which I spent the following years rebuilding and dedicated to repentance and redemption. With public education, women, poker, competitive strongman, football, and even fantasy sports gone, I hyper-focused on what mattered to me: faith, family, health, and business. Since then, I believe I have created value in my life as a husband and father, a church leader, a CEO, a strength coach, and a business mentor. Mark Andreessen, the co-founder of the venture capital firm Andreessen Horowitz, has often said, quote, "Founders only experience two emotions, euphoria and terror." This is my story of both. This book is the roadmap I wish I had all those years ago when I felt like I was drowning. I've spent many years since helping others transform their health, build their businesses, and improve their quality of lives. In doing so, I've relied on my experience, both successes and failures, and the principles I've learned to overcome the obstacles that hold most people back. Chapter 1 starts with identifying the problem of urgency. Chapter 2 teaches the basic steps of pulling weeds, removing unproductive time wasters from your to-do list. Chapter 3 discusses the refining power of voluntary hardship and shines a light on the 4 major derailments of progress. Chapter 4 wraps up the foundational part of the book by giving you the tools to start practicing focused work. All of which will lead us into part 2 and the nuts and bolts of the game plan method for any and every goal that you want to pursue. In part 3, I hope to convince you to apply these principles and practices everywhere you wish to make progress. Ultimately, I want to share the strategies that can help you pursue value in all of life's arenas. Chapter 1, Undue Urgency. Charles Hummel, in The Tyranny of the Urgent, said, "We live in constant tension between the urgent and the important." During the personal devastation of 2009 to 2012, I came to understand the difference between status and value. Status is the perception one has of himself or others, which may be founded or unfounded. Value is mostly built when no one is looking. I learned this as I went from rushing headlong for success to the simple but hard work of trying to make myself better for the most important people in my life, building value by focusing on things that would add to my family, my relationships, my health, and my business. I had resolved to work harder than anyone I knew to create value in those areas. If nothing else, I enjoyed being a net benefit, finally, for my family, friends, and business. That simple shift in perspective turned my life around. After years of destructive behavior, my life was great for a while. In 2013, having achieved some financial independence as co-owner of one of the largest strength gyms in the country, I booked a much-needed trip to Mexico with my wife. I spent the past 4 years standardizing every part of Strong Gym, writing systems, creating standard operating procedures, and generally micromanaging every job within the business. There were written guides for cleaning the bathrooms, answering the phones, giving tours, and closing sales. I created exact specifications for what a new client's first workout should look like to ensure they got an easy win that first day. Even though I had business partners and a staff of excellent employees, I also did every job, every day. I worked the front desk and answered phones. I was the custodian. I did payroll, made sales, and trained clients. And like many successful business owners, I labored under the belief that a well-organized business can turn hard work into financial success. As long as I did the jobs that needed doing, the business could sit squarely on my shoulders and all would be well. It's a thrilling kind of satisfaction that comes from doing every job and putting out every fire, like playing whack-a-mole, where you are confident and capable of quashing any problem that pops up. I was addicted to the urgency of running a business, checking things off the list, doing what needed doing, and seeing it pay off. If I'm honest with myself, the urgency of the business scratched the same itch as my previous destructive behavior, albeit in a much less destructive manner. Strong Gym was a kind of mountaintop for me, and I could still be the hero in the business. We moved into a beautiful 15,000 square foot space in downtown Springfield, Missouri. In back-to-back years, we were ranked as the strongest gym in the country, and I was one of the preeminent private strength coaches in the country. Those successes came from the head down, nose to the grindstone mentality that had become my lifeline, and I was going to hold on to it with everything I had. The pressure I felt during this time was not about status or looking successful. The pressure was to hold tight to my values and make everything work. And it did, until I decided to take a 1-week vacation. So what went wrong? I had built systems and SOPs to run Strong Gym, but I was the only one running it. I didn't trust anyone else, including my business partners and staff, even with the most mundane parts of the business. The urgency of the work had become like a ritual or a gambler's superstition. It was precious to me. I had also subscribed to the myth that doing more means getting more in return. When I finally took my wife on the Mexico vacation, it became clear that the business could not run on its own. Simple interactions turned into huge problems. In one instance, a member brought up an issue with his membership fee with one of my co-owners. He wondered why we had charged his account a few dollars more than the nominal membership fee. The difference between the fee and what we had charged was precisely the amount of sales tax we had to pay on that transaction. My business partner, not knowing about the sales tax, got confused. He speculated out loud and to many gym members that those few dollars per membership fee per month were part of some scheme I had set up. He became convinced I was skimming off the top and sending that money into offshore accounts, because where else would the money be going if it wasn't in the business accounts? I returned from vacation accused of fraud and in an adversarial relationship with my business partner, despite nothing more nefarious than the government's standard treatment of small business owners in the service industry. I had treated my business as a repeated collection of tasks that I had to complete daily for it to run, like Sisyphus rolling his boulder up a hill. The problem is that Sisyphus never gets to take a break. And I was more than willing to do the backbreaking work, never stepping back or looking at the bigger picture. I was too busy working in the business and not working enough on the business. Running a business in that manner makes it almost impossible to scale or adapt. There's an unavoidable attrition at work against your time, willingness, and ability to toil in the urgent daily tasks that do not contribute to growth or progress. If you have not created value that will survive your absence, you are playing a losing game in the long run. While it's true that there are things that just have to be done every day and somebody has to do them, the feeling that that somebody must be you, that's urgency. And that's where I'll leave it today. So there's the intro and first couple paragraphs of chapter 1 for my upcoming book, Undoing Urgency, published by Forbes. It'll be everywhere, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Hudson News, and the airports and whatnot. Comes out December 10th. Again, will be up for pre-order August 31st. This is not a sales pitch. I just wanted you to know what the book was going to be about. And then we walk through the plan of how we pulled out of this, which was not all about me. I have an incredible team that supported me throughout the process. I think this book applies to a lot of different people. And so rather than focusing on those things that are really important, we end up spending all our time focused on the urgent. And the urgent pushes out the important. The key here is that the most important things in life are almost never urgent. It's never urgent to spend time with my family, but it's the most important thing. And so if you're drowning in urgency as you hear this, whether that's in your training, in your life, in your business, wherever that is, this is going to be a great book for you. I think you'll all enjoy it. I'm super excited for it to come out. The team at Forbes has been excellent to work with. Nick has been an incredible editor. Ted from The Art of Manliness has done all the illustrations. Of course, our graphic design team is incredible. It's a great book. Forbes is super excited about it. They're convinced it's going to be a best-selling book. We'll see. I'm excited to get my life's work down on paper. And so thank you so much for listening to this. Give you a little taste, a little sampling of the book. We'll keep giving you updates along the way over the next several months as it gets ready to launch and go into pre-launch and pre-sales. Get yourself one of the early copies. So there you go. There's another episode of the Coaching Success Series on Barbell Logic podcast. Again, I'm your host, Matt Reynolds. If you got value from this, we would love a 5-star review. Share it with a friend or family member. Those downloads, those listens are huge. It drives up the algorithm. I'm excited. I've done several big podcasts the last month or so that haven't come out yet. We've also had the TV shows. I don't know if you saw the Balancing Act on Lifetime with Montel Williams. You can see that if you go to the Barbell Logic website. You can check it out. Got a couple other big ones coming out on PBS with Dennis Quaid and Meg Ryan. So lots of fun stuff going on in the Barbell Logic world. And of course, the book, I'm super excited about that. I think we'll probably do a book tour in the winter, probably keep it mostly south so that we stay out of the weather. Do some book signings and some book events and a big book launch and whatnot during the holidays. And so look forward to meeting some of you and shaking your hands and signing the book and going from there. So I hope you guys have a great week and a great weekend. I'll see you next Friday.